The Saga of Zeus has finally been announced in the canonical Saint Seiya manga. That's right, get your hearts ready and raise your cosmos, because the moment we've waited for over 30 years has finally arrived. The legendary Saga of Zeus is officially confirmed. Hello, knights and Amazons. Welcome to Always Wanted to Know. I'm Wes. And today the news is thrilling, because we're going to reveal everything about the explosive releases of the Zeus Saga created by Kurumada. Let's see all the details of the new saga, which premieres in May 2026. And how Saori Kido's determination will change the fate of humanity in the face of Olympus's fury. Hold on to your excitement, because the countdown to the greatest battle in the history of Saint Seiya has begun. Now, go ahead and comment where you're watching this video from and how long you've been waiting for the release of the Zeus Saga. Message delivered. Click like, subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's start this awesome video. Always wanted to know. To start understanding the weight of what was leaked this week in Weekly Shonen Champion magazine, we need to situate ourselves geographically and spiritually inside Athena's sanctuary, Chapter 3 of Saint Seiya X, which, for those who don't know, serves as an essential narrative bridge to the Zeus saga, takes us directly to the ruins of the Ophiuchus house. In the cosmology of Saint Seiya, the sanctuary is made up of the 12 zodiac houses protected by the Gold Saints. However, there is a legend about the 13th house, which would appear between Scorpio and Sagittarius. This is the dwelling of the Ophiuchus saint, the serpent bearer. Historically, the occupant of this house was Asclepius, a man whose healing abilities were so divine that he came to be worshipped as a god, which provoked the wrath of Olympus. Odysseus is the host of Asclepius's soul, the 13th gold saint of the mythological era, who was erased from history for trying to become a deity. Upon arriving at these ruins filled with a heavy and nostalgic cosmos, Saori Kido, the reincarnation of Athena, finds the goddess's arrow. This item is not an ordinary accessory. Athena, as the goddess of strategic war and wisdom, rarely uses weapons, but when she does, they are objects of immeasurable power. Like the golden shield and her staff, which represents the goddess of victory, Nike, the goddess's arrow carries the will of the ages, and upon touching it, Saori is flooded with memories of Odysseus. The scene described in the leak is emotional. Saori cries. She cries because she understands the weight of Odysseus' sacrifice and the tragedy that surrounds the Gold Saints. However, beyond sadness, we see both sadness and determination. In a move that defines her evolution as a character, Saori decides that she no longer wants to involve Seiya, Shiryu, Hyoga, Shun, and Ikki in her divine problems. She decides to face the battle that is coming completely on her own. To put the magnitude of this decision into context, we need to remember who Saori Kido is. Unlike her previous incarnations, like Sasha from the 18th century and the Lost Canvas, Saori grew up as an ordinary human in the Kido mansion, until she discovered her divine heritage. Over the decades, she saw her knights being mutilated. Now, facing the imminent confrontation against Olympus, her empathy speaks louder than her survival instinct, as Saori makes her decision. In the earthly sanctuary, the vibrations of her cosmos cross dimensions and reach the celestial realm. There, the god Apollo senses that something has changed. Apollo, in the mythology of Sansei, is one of the most imposing and severe gods. He is the brother of Athena and Artemis, representing the sun, order, and the relentless justice of the gods. Unlike what we've seen in non-canonical versions or movies, Kurumada's Apollo is the personification of divine authority, who sees humanity as a flaw that needs to be corrected or ruled with an iron fist. When Apollo realizes that Athena is about to awaken again, he's not just referring to the act of waking up, but to her return, full of her combative divine consciousness, which defies the will of Olympus. If Athena fully awakens to protect the earth against the gods' designs, the decree is clear. Olympus will show no mercy. The destruction of Athena and the annihilation of the human race would be inevitable. This is the central conflict that is being set up. We are talking about a war of universal scale, where Athena's sin is loving humans more than her own divine lineage. Take a deep breath. Here comes the bombshell we've been waiting for. This week's issue of Weekly Shonen Champion, which will be officially released on March 11, 2026, brings the announcement that will change the history of manga forever. Wait, it's over. Saint Seiya Tenkai and the Heaven Saga has been officially confirmed. The new manga by Masami Kurumada will start being published on May 14, 2026 in issue number 24 of the magazine. Why is this so important? Because the Heaven Saga is the final milestone of Saint Seiya. Ever since the end of the Hades saga in the original manga back in the 90s, Fans have been dreaming of the final showdown against the gods of Olympus. We even had a movie in 2004, the Heaven chapter. Overture, but it ended up being disregarded by the author due to creative differences. Now in 2026, we will have the definitive canonical version, written by Master Kurumada himself. The official provisional title, Saint Seiya Tenkaion, suggests that we will see the bronze saints wearing their divine armors again to invade the dwelling of the gods. This version of the armors is the most powerful attire of Athena's army, bathed in the blood of the goddess, and awakened when the saint raises his cosmos to infinity, surpassing the eighth sense, the Aryashiki. The Aryashiki is the essence that allows a human being to travel through the world of the dead without being subject to the laws of Hades. But to face Olympus, something even greater will be necessary. This week's cover of Weekly Shonen Champion shows Saori holding the goddess's arrow with an expression of seriousness and melancholy. But the detail that really stands out is in the background, the fire clock. The Sanctuary's fire clock is one of the most iconic symbols of the series. It has 12 flames, which represent the 12 hours and also the 12 houses. Traditionally, when the fire clock is lit, it starts a countdown to a desperate battle. Seeing the clock lit up behind Saori indicates that the Heaven Saga will not be a peaceful exploration, but rather a race against time to prevent the extinction of humanity. Furthermore, the presence of the goddess's arrow on the cover reinforces the idea that this object will be the key to defeating or sealing the gods. In the tradition of the series, divine weapons usually have mystical properties. They don't just target the body, but the very immortal essence of a god. Remember the question I asked at the beginning? Well, is the goddess's arrow this artifact capable of changing the course of a celestial war? And that's why Apollo is so worried about his sister's awakening. It's fascinating to see how Masami Kurumada, even after decades of his career, continues to expand his universe. Kurumada is known for his style, which mixes epic drama, masculinity, and classic class, overcoming challenges and an armor design that revolutionized the toy and animation industry. Saint Seiya 10 seems to be the perfect prelude, a way to set things in order and prepare the ground before the Divine War, which will be the Tenkaion. The fact that serialization starts in May 2026 shows that the planning was done carefully, to coincide with the important dates of the magazine and keep the engagement of the fans who have followed Masami. With the leak of these 8 pages from Chapter 3, the feeling overall is that the narrative is moving very fast. Kurumada doesn't want to waste his time. We already know that the character's next destination is Olympus. This raises incredible questions. Where are the other knights? If Saori wants to fight alone, will we see Seiya and the others trying to follow her against her will? I certainly believe so, but for that to happen, Seiya and the others must awaken their memories. According to some leaked sketches, we see Saori with her staff, together with Seiya and Shun, who are wearing their armors. So probably these two characters, who are already in Greece, will be the first to awaken their lost memories. And which gods will appear in this saga? Besides Apollo and Artemis, who have already appeared in Next Dimension, Zeus and Hera have been confirmed. And probably Poseidon will have some role as an unlikely ally, since he also has an interest in preserving the Earth. Another question. What would Angel Toma's role be? For those who remember the 2004 movie and some chapters, Next Dimension, the fallen angel, Toma, brother of Marinde and Eagle, is a key figure. His search for redemption and his status as a celestial warrior should be explored in depth. Saori's journey to the ruins of Serpentarius is symbolic. She is rescuing the past, which would be Odysseus, in order to face the future, which would be Apollo. The arrow she holds might be the only thing. Between the survival of the world and the great spiritual eclipse that the gods intend to cast upon the earth, we are living in a golden moment for fans of Knights of the Zodiac. What started as a manga about orphans fighting in a galactic tournament has escalated into a dense mythology, where human love defies the logic of the stars. The confirmation of the Heaven Saga for May 2026 is the closing of a cycle that began more than 40 years ago. Stay tuned, as more information should come out in the next few days as the magazine is officially distributed. Master Kurumada promised that this would be his definitive work, and from the signs that Chapter 3 of Saint Seiya 10 is giving us, he really wasn't kidding. The tension between Athena's divine duty and her humanity has never been higher. And you? What do you think will happen when Saori arrives at Olympus? Will she be able to use the goddess's arrow before Apollo takes drastic action? And our bronze heroes, how will they fight in the final battle? Comment your theories down below because I want to know each of your opinions. And of course, thank you for watching this video until the end, and see you next time. Burn your cosmos to infinity.